Hi class! Hi Mrs. Spurl and hi Celeste, it's Auntie Bea again. On our 11th day, we spent the entire day in the city of Jaipur. Here we are riding down inside the main walls. Again, there's the Hawa Mahal. I showed that to you yesterday. The Hawa Mahal actually means Palace of Winds. Remember, that's where the queens, the Maharinis, would sit inside and watch the parades. We actually went outside the city walls and worked our way up to a place called the Amir Fort. In America, we would have pronounced it Amber, but they leave off the B and pronounce it Amir. And look what we found on the way. Look, walking down the road is an elephant. Yes, there were a lot of elephants going up and down the road. Some were being used for farming, and some were just being used to parade tourists up and down the street. These elephants were huge. I wish you could have seen them. Along the way, we stopped and got out of the car to look at this. This is called the Jal Mahal, which actually means water palace. This is another one of the palaces they used. This was what they called a summer cottage. In the monsoon months, this lake would fill with rain and it would create this pond, and it looks like the palace is rising out of the lake. I imagine it was a great way to relieve some of the hot weather. It gets very, very hot in the summer in India, so they would sit there and cool off. Later, they used it for duck hunting. And here we are walking back after looking at it. There's Mrs. Singh and Colonel Singh. And look, there were dogs all over the place too in India. That dog is just being lazy and rolling around sleeping. See all the mountains in the back? Now, I'm going to zoom in, and there you'll see the Amir Fort. That's where we're going. And look what we found next to the gas station, some camels. Look at that camel eat. Did you know a camel could go without food and water for a month in the wintertime and a week in the summer? Pretty amazing, huh? So here we are on our way. That's where we're going up to, the Amir Fort. The Amir Fort was built over 375 years ago, and it's where the king, the Maharaja, lived. Now, it's a small town we had to go through, and look how narrow the road is. You'll also notice while we're driving that in India, like in England, the driver sits on the right side of the car instead of in America where they sit on the left. Have you noticed that in the videos? They also drive on the left side of the road where we drive on the right. It took a little bit of getting used to for Uncle Richard and I. Now here we are coming up to the fort. See the giant wall? There's a huge wall that goes all the way around the fort and the city to protect it. This is from a long time ago, and that's how they kept their enemies out. And look, yep, there were monkeys walking around the fort as well. These are Langora monkeys, a little bit different than we saw in Delhi and what we saw in Shimla. See how far the wall goes? It's huge. But it was the best way to protect themselves from the enemy a long time ago. There's Uncle Richard. Now this is inside the fort. Right there we are looking at is the palace. We didn't get to go in this palace because the day before we were there, the governor of the state of Rajasthan died, and so they considered it a holiday. But you can see all of the paintwork is still there and is still looking beautiful. And just like we saw at the city palace, that was done with vegetable dye. The courtyard is just beautiful. We hired a guide to show us around and explain to us everything going on. Now, all the paintings that you see and everything that makes it ornate covers both Hindu and Muslim style. They kind of got the best of both of those two worlds. At the top here was a Hindu temple, and we went in and made an offering and got blessed by the priest while we were there. That was very nice, very special. It's just a beautiful fort, and to know that it's over 375 years old is amazing because it's still in great shape. Look how beautiful it is. The temple was at the top of here. And there are other forts around protecting it. Oh, here we are with Jivtesh's parents, Colonel and Mrs. Singh. And of course, Uncle Richard. That was after we came out of the temple. Can you imagine how long it took to build those walls? Look, Uncle Richard doesn't fit in these doorways either. Here's another temple in the city.